Hey guys, Dr. Matt Standridge here again, and I wanted to do a quick walkthrough on how to design, how I currently am designing in Exocad 3D printed RPDs. Now, I'm only doing these really for temporary purposes. Basically, I'm looking for a low cost, low investment way to get people by, especially while waiting on implants, either for them to, if I had to bury an implant, or either just they're not quite ready for an implant when we just grafted and we'll place an implant 6 months later. I'm just really trying to find a good economical way to get these people by that's not a huge extra cost to them. And so there's a couple of ways to do this, to do kind of flipper partials, one tooth, Nesbit partials, spider partials, whatever you want to call them. And I'm going to show you a different way than maybe what you've seen, because how I was doing it before was I would hit the teeth that are missing, and in this person we have they're congenitally missing 7 and 10, and then number 13 was extracted. And so what I used to do is, when I was doing if I was just doing a monolithic partial, I would do the Pontic wax up and do it that way with an added gingival. So I would do this Pontic wax up, let's say 3D print, and then I would design the wax up digitally, and then I would also design a virtual gingiva. But that would be, if you do it that way, you can still design everything just like I'm going to here, but it's all going to be one file. It's not going to have the Boolean difference done between the gingival base and the teeth. And you could still do that, but there'd be extra steps. Here, I know I want it to be a split file. I know I want it to be two different resins that I want to use. I want to use a denture resin, and I want to use a tooth resin, like this here. And so I'm going to show you how I'm currently doing that now without having to do all the extra steps. So on the edentulous teeth, I'm going to hit partial denture. And then it'll go through basically the same workflow. The denture base, I'm going to say original pink. This I'm going to do A1. Advanced parameters I don't really mess with here, because I'm not actually going to design a base like this here, where you could design a base like this and mill it out in acetal, or you could print it in castable resin and then have it cast in metal or whatever. I just want something cheap and easy here, so I am not going to mess with that a whole lot. So I'm just going to hit OK, and that's what we're set there. Okay, and I just have it set as two models, two stone models and occlusion. So now we'll go ahead and hit the design. Pardon me while I drink Fresca while this is loading. Okay. Alrighty. Cool. So we're going to go through this. If you've done this at all, you're probably somewhat familiar with this. And I might switch this over to HD. We'll see. Generic, alternative, and HD is kind of what I use the most. Yeah, I like HD. Alright. Next. Okay. Now we'll go ahead and get these. So you can see we almost have a kind of end-to-end bite there a bit, so no big deal, but and I tell my patients these are church teeth. These are for looks only. And we're just going to modify these around here. Like I said, I'm not trying to spend too much time on this. This is just something quick and dirty. You know, I'm really trying to get this inexpensive for people and just get them teeth while we do our thing here. There we go. Okay. All right, so next up here, really not a whole lot I want to change on this. Okay, so now I want this to be out of occlusion quite a bit, so I'm going to hit this at 0.5 and cut intersections. Then what I want to do is interproximal, cut intersections again. Alright. And then what we're going to do is shape to the, take this ponic and shape to the gingiva. So it's going to cut those back like so. And then I'm actually going to increase that a bit. I'm going to increase that by about 1.5 millimeters. And because what I'm wanting to do is create a little bit of room for the base material. Now my ultimate goal with this would be to train an assistant to do all this, because that would be super cool. So if I turn this off here, you can see that we now have a space right there, and I want that space for that base material. So that's why I went to Adapt, Pontic, and created this space right there. Okay, and we'll hit Next. So now we have those teeth set. Now, instead of going to partial CAD design to keep this easier, I'm going to hit Design Overdenture Gingiva. Alright, so now what we'll do, I'm going to set the insertion insert from view. Now I want this to have some extra reader cuts here a bit. Okay, so I'm going to go to this block out undercuts. I'm going to allow up to 0.5 millimeters. I hit update. All right. So now I'm also going to do a little bit of freeforming here because I like the undercuts being like right here where the clasps are going to go. That's nice right there. I like that. I don't want a whole lot of undercuts right in here though. I don't want to allow undercut right there. So I'm going to go to freeforming. I'm going to go to Add. I'm going to reduce the undercut. The more color you have, the more undercut you're allowing right there. But I don't want a whole lot of undercut right there, if that makes sense. Because I want a path of draw. So I'm totally okay with more detail, more undercut right there. Absolutely fine with that. There we go. And I'm just going to create a little bit more undercuts and around here. Just because I'm okay with this extra little oomph in these areas. It's a scientific term, by the way, a little extra oomph. So, but yeah, I'm totally alright with it kind of engaging into these linguals here a bit. Okay, there we go. Alright. We'll hit next. Alright, so now, okay, yes, combine gingiva. Alright, so now what we're going to do is design our clasps and our base and all of that stuff. So, what I'm going to do is start with over here because I'm going to want to clasp this tooth here. And so we're just drawing the border outline around here, right? Okay, so now this is where it gets fun. So because this is going to be gingiva color, I don't want to be putting this on the tooth a whole lot, if that makes sense. Okay, so there you see basically your framework, and I'm just going to make sure that this all looks okay. Here that's a little bit thin for me, so I'm going to bring this down a bit. Just add a little bit more thickness, a little bit more sturdiness. This 3D resin stuff is pretty cool, but I'm still a little leery on making it too thin and breakable. And then I'm going to really kind of bring those in and just try to engage those undercuts as much as possible. Alrighty, and now looks pretty good. I might get rid of these right here though. But I'm not too worried about that because if I don't like it, I just burn it off. I'd rather have it and it's super easy to just cut it off and polish versus going through a bunch of rigmarole here. So, alright, we'll update. Okay, cool. That looks pretty good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to adapt these here. Let me just kind of shape these up a bit here. Like I said, I'm not in love with these, but I'd rather have them and just cut them off if I don't need them versus the opposite. And area wear, we're over 1 millimeter in thickness, so we're doing pretty good there. Not too shabby. Okay. Alright, so now we're going to adapt the teeth to the gingiva. So tooth pocket gaps, those are pretty good. I don't really see the need to do much of those. Look good. If you need a little bit more, just with your printers or whatever, if you need a little bit more give, you can increase the tooth pocket gap if you need to, but I haven't had the need for that. And so then let's take a look. So now you can see where it has modified these tooth files even more here to fit around this. So your two prints are basically going to be this here that you'll print in a base resin like Flexera base or whatever 3D print or whatever gingival material that you want to print. Some people print it in like a flexible night guard material. I've seen that. It's whatever you want to do, but I like the gum colored resins because then I don't have to mess around with coloring anymore. But yeah, there we go. And that's it. So then you're going to have these saved files that you can then print up, and then I will follow up the video with some pictures of what this looks like. Alright, I hope this showed kind of a nice little alternative way to do some low-cost RPDs, and which will be very nice for your as an interim prosthesis for folks going through implantology. So, alright guys, take care. I hope you enjoyed this. Have a good one.